live streamers, you know the deal. Help me know that we are officially live by dropping where you're tuning in from in the chat. And if you happen to be catching this on replay, go ahead and do #replay so me and my very special guest can get back to you after the fact, just in case you have a question. So for those of you who are tuning in for the first time, hello, my name is 𝐉𝐎𝐈𝐄𝐀𝐌. I am the founder and managing director of Jolt Your Career. And I help ambitious professionals just like you land roles that you actually want. I also consult for some recruitment firms and do some corporate trainings and even dabbling in a little public speaking, even though it terrifies me. So if this is your first time tuning in, I always like to start off by celebrating some client wins because that helps restore some hope that companies are actually hiring. So I want to give 3 shout outs to amazing women today. One of my clients, she's a total badass and has been so faithful to her company, but continues to be passed over. It's like she's hit that ceiling that we all know is out there at some companies. And she took a bold move to start applying elsewhere and got a 50% bump in salary and loves her new team. Another client, as many of us end up having to do, chose to leave the workforce to care for her mother. And in those 3 years, sacrificed her career to do what was right for her family. And now she is back at it. She loves her role and she will be announcing where she's accepting her position next week. So you know who you are. I am so excited for you. And lastly, the third lady that I want to give a shout out to today, she had found out that her position was going to be eliminated. She thought she had survived the M&A, and after she did all the training to make the M&A successful, they notified her that her position would be gone. And this was an opportunity for her, even though it sucked, an opportunity for her to really land a dream that encompassed everything that she really wanted to do. And let me tell you, the role that she wanted, I had never even heard of before. And I work with a lot of people. It's a really niche role. And within a month, she landed a role. She actually had 3 competing offers. So to all of you ladies, and if you've ever worked with me before, you know I keep my clients confidential unless you say otherwise. I am so proud of you. Congratulations to you and your families. Very well deserved. Now, next up, I am going to bring in my very special guest, Ashlie Garcia. She calls herself the Recruiting Bachelorette, and if she has ever given you a rose, know it came from the heart. So I'm so excited to share the stage with her today because I know she is going to be talking about an incredibly vulnerable topic that you all obviously want to hear about, otherwise you wouldn't be here. So hey, Ashlie, welcome.
Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're coming from. I'm so excited to be here.
Oh my gosh, we have so many people to say hello to Ashlie. There's Kathy.
Hey, Kathy.
A random LinkedIn user, and we actually have quite a few of them, but that's okay. I'm not even mad that you're on secret mode because I do it too. We've got Victoria. I mean,
Hi,
there's just so
Victoria.
many people in here. So, Ashlie, just to give you a little bit of jitters, right now there's 54 people who are tuned in. So, hello to all of you tuning in. While we say hello to you, Ashlie, can you let us know a little bit about you for those of you who are new to you?
Yeah, absolutely. So first and foremost, Tegan, I just want to give you your flowers. I know that you are super not going to like this, but you guys, I've seen a little bit of Tegan's behind the scenes. And just to let you guys know, this live right here has not been done without tears, without a lot of extra hours. Tegan even takes calls. She pulled over on the road one time when we were on a live or on a call. And I'm so proud of you. And I'm so proud of you because this whole Jolt Your Career is rooted in service. And it's like the fruits are coming out now. So I just want to say thank you. I'm honored to be here. I'm honored to call you a friend of mine. And I'll introduce myself. You guys probably know me. My name's Ashlie Garcia. I am the Recruiting Bachelorette. And what's really interesting about this introduction is when Tegan first asked me to come on, I was a recruiter with Amazon. So formally, I would introduce myself and say, hi, I'm Ashlie Garcia. I recruit with Amazon. But unfortunately, me, along with so many other people, have been laid off from our careers in tech. So what's really, really important and what's really special about my introduction is I no longer have the I'm a recruiter at Amazon. But what I do have is I still have my mind. I still have my experience. And I'm still super excited to be here and talk to you guys today. So yeah, let's get started.
Well, first of all, that's an incredible lesson for everyone tuning in. You are not your employee. You are your brand. So, hi, I am Ashlie Garcia, the Recruiting Bachelorette. And bam, that is how people are going to remember you. It doesn't matter what company name is behind you, because at the end of the day, that brand name is not worth anything. Right. You are the value that you bring to the table. So I love that. All right. So today our topic is our secrets for learning how to never settle for less, which is, it's really freaking deep. I mean, when you think about it, some of us are going through the motions and not even realizing that we're settling in our career. I know for me, it took literally being smashed by a semi truck to realize that corporate ladder that I was aggressively climbing, that national recognition for the programs that I were building, wasn't what success was actually for me. My value system, although is rooted in community and wanting to make an impact, the cost of it was too heavy, and therefore that success was void. And it literally took being hit by a semi truck to figure that out. And so, Ashlie, I'm really curious as what it was for you. How did you figure out you were settling in your career?
Yeah, absolutely. This is a great question. So I'm sure a lot of you guys relate. In a former company I worked for, I came on as a junior tech recruiter. I'd never recruited in tech before, but I was a recruiter. So of course I was like, of course I can do this. So I came on, and just within a few almost weeks, I landed my first hire. And I realized that although I was put into a category of like a junior role, I was really hanging and making big plays in the organization. So I realized that, and I realized I was placing people that were, we didn't even have positions for, but because they were so good and they were so niche, we were creating positions for them. And I realized in that moment that maybe my title was junior, but I'm not junior, because I bet on myself and I knew that I would be given a task and I would be able to do it. So I came to the table with my supervisor and I said, look, I've placed A, B, and C, and here's my salary. And I've proven to you that I can surpass my metrics. I can surpass what I'm doing. And what he said was mind-boggling to me. And he said something along the lines of, we'll have to reevaluate in about a year. In a year? And you guys, that was the time that the gas was going. Well, I live in California, so it's super, super. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I just made you on the big screen.
Yeah, okay. Gas was going from like $4 to $6 in like a week. And I was getting nervous financially because I'm like, wait, I'm not going to be able to survive on this. But the thing is I realized I shouldn't have to struggle. I have a master's degree, and I'm not saying that master's degrees are everything or even formal education, but what I'm saying is I had the experience. So I went to him, and when he told me a year, I thought, no, that's not right. And then I met a bonus day. I came on like a day prior to when I would get this bonus, and he was even kind of iffy about that. And I thought, no, this isn't for me. And I immediately messaged our friend Dan Roth, and I said, hey, I just want to run this by you. This is what's going on. And Dan said some things I'm not going to repeat. And if you guys know Dan is straight to the point. He's blunt. And he goes, no. He goes, Ashlie, no. He confirmed, first of all, that what I was doing was correct and where I was going in my career and the stand I was taking for myself. But he also confirmed that there are other companies that would value me, and they would value me with money and in my salary. So he said, no, let me make some calls. And I didn't do that for that purpose. I didn't do that to get a new role. I did that because I needed that confirmation in that moment.
Yeah.
And what's so important in this lesson for me is to have people in your corner. I love the sport of boxing. And in boxing, they have a corner of people that come to their, during breaks, they're touching up their face, they're putting Vaseline, they're giving them water. And in that moment, I knew who was in my corner, and that was Dan. And then Dan, told me, you need to talk to Tegan. And I talked to Tegan, and she gave me some pointers. So it's in those moments where you take courageous steps, you take a bold move to get that meeting with your boss and to talk about your salary. And then it comes back to you in not a way that you expected, but then you have your people to fall back on. So it makes it a little bit better. It doesn't make it okay, but it makes you remember who you are and remember your worth. And that was the monumental step in my career, because again, we have to go back to the initial conversation, and it wasn't easy, especially as women. We're not used to asking for raises. We're not used to coming to the table, and especially women of color, we're used to just saying, hey, I'm glad to work for this organization. Well, I'm sorry, that's for the birds, because we, especially some of these powerful women listening here, have power, and we are competent, and we come with experience. Therefore, we should be compensated for that. So that was a really big step for me in my career, but it didn't come, out of the blue. It came with courage, and it came with the people in my corner that really motivated me and pushed me to get that conversation.
I think everybody tuning in can probably decide, can probably say for themselves, this was the point that I realized I was settling. For you, it was getting jarred by after finally having the courage to have the conversation of, look, you brought me in as a junior. I'm performing at a senior level role.
Yeah.
We need to make this right. And for me, it was an accident. For everybody else, if you feel comfortable, go ahead and share what it was for you. There are so many things in our life that finally get us to wake up, but typically it comes with pain.
Right.
Typically it comes with hardships that make us reevaluate what comes next.
Absolutely.
And so I love your advice on having that tribe of people in your corner, to not only be a mentor, but ideally to be a sponsor as well. It's great to have people outside of organizations mentoring you, coaching you, whatever. But if you can find a sponsor within your organization to really advocate for you, it can be a game changer, because sometimes we get into roles where our direct leaders, they are who they are. And
right.
so
Yes.
finding a sponsor elsewhere can make a difference in our careers. And sometimes it means having to leave the organization.
Sure.
So for everybody's situation, it's a little bit different. I know that we're both advocate of supporting women. And although there's tons of men tuning in here today, we both speak from a woman perspective. And so women especially are known for them settling in their career. Why do you think that is?
I think because just going back centuries, women were just taught to serve. I'm not a mother, but being raised by a single mom, she was everything. She did about 10 jobs, probably 11. And we're just taught to get it done. We're not taught to question. And so it's those who have gone before us and that have taken a stand that we can kind of follow in their footsteps, but it's not natural for us to ask. It's natural for us just to say, okay, and be thankful and just kind of smile and wave and have that attitude. But it's only when we find value in ourselves and when we know who we truly are that we can have the courage and the confidence to have these conversations. Because again, it's not something that most women that I know just wake up and say, hey, I'm going to challenge my boss today. Like, I've never really heard anybody say that. I've heard people say, hey, Ashlie, what do you think about this? Hey, Ashlie, I'm really nervous to say this. So I think it's just a very unnatural state for us as women. But I can also say that there's been so many people who have paved the way for us, including you, Tegan, who speaks openly about this, who, there's so many companies now that are putting the salary ranges just, and I believe that's a win for us as women, because we can look on the website and see, wow, it's starting at this. Now I can ask for this. And so I think there's been monumental steps that have been taken, but it hasn't always been that way. But I do think that we've gotten a lot of wins, especially recently. And on LinkedIn, when people go, they're vulnerable about their journey. They're vulnerable about compensation, because it's just something we're not taught to do. We're taught just to do, to do our job, to do it well. Have you ever heard the term, put your head down and work? That's what we're taught to do. So, yeah.
Yeah. And it's been indoctrined in us that is what we're supposed to do. But then what is the risk of not doing that? Oftentimes there's only upsides. Very rarely are there negative consequences to us sticking up for ourselves. I mean, I've worked with some clients who, they asked for certain things, or they brought to light certain things, and their life got really hard at their jobs. Mm-hmm. So they've left and went elsewhere, and it got better. And so even if there's temporary moments of discomfort, for finally finding that courage to speak up, to advocate, to be a louder voice, to represent what it is that you stand for, in the end, when we finally do have the courage to do that, we realize there wasn't much risk at all, that it really only gets better. So anybody who's listening in today, if that is the concern of, hey, well, I do think I deserve a promotion now that the annual performance evaluations are starting to roll out in Q4, or I really do think that I should be tapped to work on a stretch assignment, or whatever that may be. Do the work, organize it, make it easy for your leader to tell you yes. One of the things that I like to do is to create a SWOT analysis. So I can come prepared to my leader or to the organization that I serve and say, look, here's where I think my strengths lie. Here are some weaknesses that I would like your support developing. Maybe that's sponsorship for continuing education or certifications. Maybe that's mentorship. Maybe that's an opportunity to be put on a stretch assignment. And if you identify, here's the skills that I think I'm lacking, can you put me on this type of project, or give me a day where I can shadow this type of leader so I can get some insights into that. And then opportunities and threats as well. It's fantastic when you look at yourself as a business of one, present a business case to the leadership team and say, this is how I see myself. Can you fill in the blanks and tell me what areas that I may be blind to, and help me grow as a professional? Because these are what my ultimate goals are. But the key here is knowing who you truly are, what you truly want, and what you value, not only as a person outside of work, but a professional inside of work, because those values don't change. And when you can clearly and concisely articulate yourself and present that case, if they still then say no, then that's not the right leader for you to be working for. And you can move on, or you can find another one within the organization who will sponsor you. I've worked for terrible direct leaders before, and gained the attention of more executive leaders who took me under their wings and catapulted my career. So sometimes it's not always your direct supervisor who you can go to and look for that mentorship and sponsorship with. I want to be mindful of time.
Absolutely.
The comments are going crazy. If you have any questions, definitely make sure that you add questions so Ashlie can answer it. But Ashlie, if you don't mind getting a little vulnerable, what was the key for you deciding not to settle? What was ultimately that breaking point where you decided, okay, I today am going to do something different?
Yeah. So I think first and foremost, I will always go back to the power of having mentors and having people that speak life to me. And that really, really helped me to really see my career and to see my worth. And so it was those conversations, those really hard conversations that I I had to put my ego down. I had to make the phone call. I had to ask for help from some of my trusted advisors in my life, because I knew that I had to make a decision, and settling is making a decision. So it came to a point in my life where I was like, I can take a stand for what I believe and what I encourage all other people to do, or I can settle and make that choice as well. So I got on the phone. I called some of the closest people to me, and I said, look, here's the situation, and I need you to help me here. So that's one thing that I think is super important. Again, and I will always talk about having that tribe, having that circle behind you that sees that potential in you that you don't even see. And during those calls, they were able to speak so much life into me, and it just gave me this energy. It gave me this courage to just make sure that I was doing what I needed to do. And again, keep me accountable. And they said, hey, if you stay in this job, you're almost being a hypocrite, because when you get on calls with people, and when people message you on LinkedIn about their careers and they say, hey, Ashlie, how should I come to the table when I'm dealing with this, whatever issue it is, but I'm sitting here and I'm just saying that everything is fine. So I really had to look at that. And once I did that, and once I dug deep in my soul and realized, no, I don't want to be a hypocrite. I want to live by those values that I believe of: integrity and respect and vulnerability and honesty. And that's really what gave me that aha moment in my life where I was like, no, something needs to change. And again, messaging Dan reminding me to reach out to you, Tegan, you sending me a bunch of tips and tricks in my inbox almost instantly. And then I was like, okay, this is where I'm going to go. And you know what? It wasn't easy. It was uncomfortable. I questioned myself. I thought, well, maybe if I just stick it out, maybe things will change. Well, the fact of the matter was, it wasn't about that. It was about making that decision to realize I am worth more. I'm valuable. The value I bring to an organization is way more than this. And I'm ready. I'm ready. And I'm ready. And I acknowledge that. And it's time. It's time. So that's when I knew. And when I made that move and when I made that statement, it was almost like a weight was lifted off of me. And then all of a sudden, more people were coming to me and saying, hey, and I was able to honestly and truthfully say, it's your time, because I did it. And I was living in honesty, and I was living not as a fraud or as somebody who was telling people to do stuff and not doing it themselves. So that was just a monumental time for me. And in moments that I still question, because again, settling is not, it's not something that you do once. You're going to constantly have to look at areas in your life where you're settling, and you're going to have to come to the table again and call those people and and have those hard conversations. So when I think of settling in other areas in my life, whether it's my health, whether it's my eating, whether it's my finances, whatever it is, I'm reminded of those times. And so it's almost like it's an onion effect. It's not just in your career, it's everywhere in your life if you do want to be the best.
As I sit here and look at this little treadmill that I just bought, because it's so true. If you settle in one area, you're willing to settle in other areas. It becomes a ripple effect, often stemming in a lack of confidence.
Absolutely.
I'm not worthy enough for this, or I will make this sacrifice in my life because it's not significant enough to prioritize, but it really is. And what's more important than our health, right? Our mental health, our physical health, the food we put into our body, getting out. And I mean, human beings are made to move. And I sit behind the desk almost all day long. So for any of you that are in the same boat, go ahead on Amazon, get you a little under the desk treadmill and see how it works out for you. So far, I've actually used it. Like if I'm on a phone call with somebody, I'll get on it, you start walking, take my call on the treadmill, and then as soon as I get out of breath.
And, you know what, Tegan? I'm so sorry. I don't mean to interrupt you. I just had one more thought.
Yeah.
When you take a stand to not settle in your career or in your life, what you're doing is you're setting the precedence for your children. Maybe you're like me and you don't have children yet. it's your children and your future grandchildren and their children. So you're setting a precedent
for your community.
For your community,
don't
right?
Have children, like the ones that you surround yourself with.
Yes. And so by you not making that decision is interfering with that. So it's your job to do that, because you are going to create, more just a better life for them. So maybe you don't feel like you're worthy of doing it, but are your kids worthy? Are your future kids? Are your grandchildren? Are your nieces and nephews? If you're a dog parent, is your dog? So that's very, very important to think as well. Maybe if you can't think of yourself, think of the others that you're going to have an impact on if you don't take this step.
I think that is the key trick on starting to have actionable change, actually implementing the change that you want to see in your life, is thinking about others. Because when you tie your actions to your why, in my case, my son is the biggest driving factor in my life. And so when I tie anything to him, I'm going to stick with it longer, and it's more likely to stick because it's so important to me. For others, it may be they don't want to disappoint their parents, or they're looked up to by their friend group as an example. And even though they might be in a low place, they want to be able to be that rock for others. Whatever it is that is your driving force, the why behind what you do in your life, when you tie things to that, all of a sudden getting on, first of all, buying a treadmill, setting it up, actually turning on and getting on it makes it's not like, getting some exercise in, that's discipline for me. That's not pleasure. It's just pure discipline. There's no amount of motivation that is going to make me just want to spend money and actually get on a treadmill. It is I have to do this because I want to live a long time for my son. I want to be able to show up better and have more energy for my clients, and then the ripple effect of the people who are a priority in my life from there. And so if you are tuning in and you're like, okay, I don't want to settle. I know I've been settling. I don't want to settle anymore. But then how do I start making changes? Tie these changes to your why. Identify what changes that you can make in your life to get more aligned with the things that you value. And if you missed the beginning of this live, Ashlie mentioned that she was a part of the tech layoffs. And so Ashlie, what are you doing now?
Yeah, what am I doing now? So I actually, and we were talking about this a little bit before, I just decided that I'm just, I've always been an entrepreneur since I was, 2 years old. My mom will tell you I was selling rocks to neighbors. I don't know how, why, but I've always been an entrepreneur, and I just started consulting. I started talking to companies and organizations, and they were like, yes, we need help. And so this tech layoff, or my personal experience, it was hard, and it still is hard. And, I just saw Snapchat laid off tons of people. I'm not saying that this has been an easy time in my life, but what I am saying is it knocked me out of my comfort zone. So I'm doing a few things, and I'm waiting to showcase some more stuff on LinkedIn. So you guys keep watch there. But I just got out of my comfort zone, and I started to do other things. And the thing is remind yourself of the transferable skills that you have. Maybe you're a recruiter like me, but there's recruiter layoffs left and right. So you're going to have to shift. So what other ways are you going to shift your expertise? There's so many ways. Get in spaces with people that are in different spaces. I love the sales space. My friends at SaaS Bros, Eric McKee, I was just talking to him earlier. I love that space. So for me, it's just getting into different spaces. You're going to be uncomfortable, get ready, but you're always going to be uncomfortable, and just bet on yourself. Bet on yourself. And I know it will be amazing. And I know we're closing on time here, but I'm so excited. And for all you people who are laid off, and it's going to continue to happen, have faith. You will be okay. This is not the end of the world. Talk to Tegan, talk to me. We're here. We're in your corner. We're going to get through this. We are going to get through this.
Absolutely. So for anybody who's trying to figure out how do I get a tribe of people in my corner, especially if I don't have a network, Ashlie just gave you an open invitation to connect with her. You always have an open invitation to connect with me and chat with me. Almost every single Friday, we do office hours with the collective, formerly known as the Job Connection Tuesday Collective. Now it's just the collective. And basically, what we are doing is cultivating a tribe of people who are willing to share their insights, willing to give time to people, hold space for people, really honor what people have gone through in a judgment-free place to really move the needle forward. And so you're welcome to join. I'll drop the link to join in the comments once we get off this live. But as far as the people here today, people obviously care about this topic. Otherwise, they wouldn't have, taken 30 minutes of their lunch break or their dinner, depending on what time zone you're in, to be here today. So go ahead. Next to comments, click on networking. And when you click on networking, you can see the almost 200 people that RSVP'd for this event. Message them, connect with them, look through their profiles and see if there's synergy. Send that personalized invite, press more, then press personalized invite and say, hey, Ashlie, whatever you said, it just really gave me the kick in the butt that I needed to focus on this next move. I would love to connect with you and hear your best advice on whatever that may be. And so when you connect with people, do it intentionally. Build an intentional network of not just collecting connections. It's not about the number. It's not about getting to that 500 plus so you get that algorithm boosting. It's about finding genuine people to have in your corner, wiping the blood off of you when you're in that boxing ring, putting the Vaseline on, rubbing your face so the swelling goes down. And if you have no idea what I'm talking about, make sure if you tuned in late, go back and catch the beginning of this live because we're talking about boxing. And on that note, I want to wish everyone a very happy and safe Labor Day weekend. Labor Day weekend here in the United States, since I know we have an international audience, is all about recognizing the contribution that we as the workforce provide to society. And so pat on all of our backs for making the world a better place. And to end this live today, Ashlie, what do you have to say to any job seeker out there right now that any type of advice that you want to leave off in? I'll let you close us out.
Yeah, absolutely. So my advice is this. Remember who you are and what your values are. And a lot of times it's reassessing those values. And if you say you value integrity, and if you say you value respect, and if you say you value honesty, write those down and see where you're living that out in your life. Because at the end of the day, they can take away your title, they can take away the company that you work for, but they can't take away you, your name, your accomplishments, your experience. So I just encourage you to do that and also bet on yourself, trust yourself, make trusted decisions. And I know it's going to be great. I can't wait to see what comes out of this tech layoff. I can't wait to see what businesses are started. I can't wait to see what fruit is just going to come off just because of everything that's going on. And you will get through this season. You will get through this season. So thank you, Tegan. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for joining me. Everybody, make sure you connect with Ashlie. If we're not already connected, feel free to connect with me. We are here to support you. And if this message inspired you today, please go out and share. Please go out and find that person to get vulnerable with so you can take action, because tuning into these lives is fantastic, but massively implementing whatever it is you learned or inspired you is just that much better. And with that, have a wonderful weekend, everyone.
Bye.